Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're in a negotiation and your whole thought process is, I have to get what I want? And that is the main purpose of the negotiation because you're coming in with your drawn out plan, and this is the way it has to work out, or I'm leaving. Well, that's the conversation we're going to have here today on Relationship Thursday. How you guys doing? This is Ron Simplified Myers, author, podcaster, and your uplifting life partner. Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy when you're talking about negotiation and then you put that into relationships, but this is kind of what goes on in the dating part of a relationship when you're first getting to know a person. You're really kind of asking questions. But how would this concept be? And this is, I actually got this idea a while back from Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi has a program. It's called the Knowledge Broker Blueprint, KBB program. And those of you who've heard of that know exactly where I'm going with this. But he was really talking about the negotiation process, the way negotiations are actually handled versus the way most people actually walk into them. Because most people just walk in with the concept of, here's who I am. This is what I bring to the table. This is what I'm expecting out of this. And can you make that happen? And if not, then let's move on. And it's not really a negotiation. You've already just decided it's going this particular path, or I'm out. But the amazing part when you look at what they're talking about and what they share, which makes a lot of sense, it's the same thing that I talk about when we talk about creating a safe place in your relationships. It's the same ideal as a negotiation. The way he's teaching negotiations actually is. And what Dean was talking about is actually in a negotiation, you come in with the idea, with the thought process, I should say, of finding out what is it that they're looking for? What is their ideal of what a relationship, and I'm using relationship, which is not what he was talking about, but he was just talking in general, but I'm related since we're talking about relationships here. But the whole ideal is, what is your ideal of what a relationship should look like? And a year from now, what do you see a relationship actually turning into? And kind of really filling out, asking them, because it's kind of what I talk about in communications. People that understand what communication really is understands that old concept we hear, you got two ears, one mouth, use them accordingly. It's real. You actually get more of what you want by listening than by talking. And folks, I'm gonna tell y'all, I have this conversation with me all the time, because those that know me know I can talk, I can get on a roll. And I'm always saying, Ron, be quiet, because you understand that the best communications and the best relationships are when you be quiet and you let other people talk. Now, you guys, I know you've done it, or you've been around people where, or you may have caught yourself in that situation where when they let you talk, which is your favorite subject, and I know I've said that to people and they go, I'm not my favorite subject. Yes, you are. Okay. We don't like to hear that because it sounds like it's arrogance. And I tell people it's not arrogance. Arrogance is when you put other people beneath you. Confidence and believing in yourself and caring for yourself, that's a whole different conversation. You better have you at the top of that list, because you're the person that's with you 24/7, 365 days from the day you're born to the day you die. So you better really, really, really be that number one cheerleader for yourself. But what I was getting to, as we're on this topic, is I remember one of the people that had, it was one of the greatest conversations, and I've shared this once before, but I had went in and met a guy that I was running with. We played ball together with, and so I went and met his roommate one day. And this guy was asking me, and you can tell how old this story is, because he was asking me who did I think was the best basketball player. It's like, do you think it's Magic? Do you think it's Michael Jordan? Da, da, da. And so, for me, I was like, shoot, man, if you're talking about one-on-one, the greatest individual, that's going to be Michael Jordan. But if you're talking about team player, it's going to be Magic Johnson. And then he said, oh, that's cool. He said, but let me ask you a question. He said, so how do you feel about Larry Bird? And I was like, all men. I mean, he doesn't have the athleticism of these guys, but you're talking about a guy that knows the game, that will beat you on fundamentals. I mean, that dude, that's a bad boy. And when I left there, I was like, that was one of the greatest conversations I've ever had. I was like, he's got great people skills. And it took a while before it actually registered to me. Unfortunately, it's sad that I have to say this, but it took me probably years before I actually realized the reason that was one of the greatest conversations I ever had is because he didn't talk. He just asked me questions. And he let my favorite subject, which was myself, let me get on a tear. And then I walked away from that thinking he's a great communicator. That's really the whole idea with this negotiation. It's the same thing. It's because as you ask people and what is their ideals, you're really getting them to open up. And for most people, they're thinking, you're getting them to think way beyond something they probably never even thought about, because most people just go from relationship to relationship with no game plan, no idea where they're headed. And folks, I'm not saying you have to go into a relationship like I'm going to get married, or I mean, for some people that's exactly what they're doing. But I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, but it is nice to at least know what is it that you're trying to get to, and finding out what it is that they think is an ideal relationship. Where do they want to go? And the reason for that is that old saying about worth your time. And when I'm saying worth your time, I'm not saying you're putting other people down, because again, becomes arrogant when you start to look down on people or whatever. When I'm saying worth your time, is we do have a shortage of time as far as the things that we want out of life and the things we're trying to accomplish. And so if I already know that your ideal of a great relationship is having many partners, and that's not good, bad, right, or wrong. That's just not the person I'm looking for. But the more I can actually have a conversation, and we're calling it a negotiation, but really what I'm doing is I'm just sitting here and getting you to tell me all the things that's going on, and what if those things don't happen? And what do you think has blocked you from finding that in the beginning? I mean, for already finding that or being in that kind of relationship. And you can see by that, I'm saying we're just asking questions. And it's not because we're not trying to manipulate. We're trying to play games, because we do know some people do that with that intent. Just like some young ladies talking about, well, when they talk about, I want to know your FICO score. A lot of the ones that are usually telling you that's the first thing out of their mouth is your FICO and stuff. Yes, they don't want to hear that, but that's what they're looking for. They don't want to call it manipulation or playing games or whatever, but they're looking for what they can get out of the relationship. I'm sorry to say that, but and I'm not saying all, because there's exceptions to every rule, but in most cases, because as you guys have heard me say before, the external stuff does not tell you the person that you're getting in a relationship with. There are different reasons why people had things and lost them, and hopefully we've seen through this virus stuff that you can see where people who were doing very well are now struggling to try to get things back. That doesn't tell you the character and integrity, which you guys hear me talk about all the time, that those are the keys. So you start to judge people for the wrong stuff versus getting to know that individual, because some of them who have fallen, that's a temporary state and they're going to go back up. But the challenge is, because your mindset is you're looking at the exterior, you're looking at them while they're down, you start to judge them because you're putting them in a category, because you have gotten to kind of an arrogant kind of thought process of looking down on them because they're not at a certain level where you believe people should be, versus getting to know the individual. And that's really, to me, when I'm saying negotiation, is we're really trying to find all this stuff out. We're doing research. And the only way you really do research is to ask questions. Because think about it. Everything you say and everything you thinking is already information that you already have. So you can't learn nothing. The only way you're going to actually learn is to be quiet and allow the other person to talk. But know the questions. What is it that you're looking for, to find out what is important to them? And you guys notice I said this is about them, because once we get through and find out what they're all about, what they're looking for and all that kind of stuff, now we get to see if there's a match. Because it's like I'd say all the time, love is accepting people as they are, not creating them to be who you want them to be. Folks, nobody came here to be who you wanted them to be. I know that offends some folks, but it's real. Nobody came here to fulfill your dreams. I know people try to sell that's what you should be as a part. No, you did not come here to fulfill other people's dreams. That's their job. You can complement that and add value to that. But ultimately, it's like I've said before, your partner may want a car, a Lamborghini. We can use a Lamborghini, and you bring them a purple one and they wanted a black, and so their feelings are still hurt and they still don't think you care and all. You guys see, and I'm only using that material thing just so you guys can get the idea, is that no one controls this except you. So all we can do as this outside person is just be the best person we could be and hopefully complement or add value to what it is that you want. But anyway, back to what we're talking about is here with the finding out, asking questions, is we're really kind of doing research. We really want to know what it is they're looking for. What's an ideal relationship? What is it that they like to travel? Do they like, you know what I'm saying? Are these, how important are these things to them? And if those things don't happen, you know, because you know, there are people, as we know, get in relationships, and the thing that attracted them to their partner is the fact that the person wears a uniform. Okay, we know people have done that, or you know, whatever the case may be, or because you saw them and or her and they were dressed really nice, and I see guys do this all the time. They see a woman half dressed and they just go, "Whoo, man!" When I saw her, man, instant turn on. But that's not how they want their woman to dress. You guys follow me? There's a conflict there. Why is she dressing like that? And she has her own reasons, and there are her reasons, and it ain't your job to change it. But here's the key. Knowing what you're walking into is really the whole purpose of why I'm saying this, is knowing what you're walking into in advance to figure out, is it a place you want to plug yourself into and put the time and investment in? And again, it's not to judge. It's not to say good, bad, right, or wrong. Is you're getting clear what it is you want. You do that in advance, but when you're talking with them, as you would do it in negotiation, is I'm trying to find out in a year from now, where do you see your relationships, or what is it that you're looking for, and what are you trying to make happen, and really getting out, because that's the way in the negotiation, because there's going to be things that you guys know we talked about, red flags, and that's part of the negotiation part. If any of the things that they say, maybe things that when you walked in wasn't what you were looking for, or you know, but they're things that you can get past. And I'm not saying things that are red flags that you're trying to overlook, because you guys hear me say all the time, there's a reason things are red flagged, which are things that you're not acceptable to you. When they have those on the list of the things they're looking for, stop the negotiations. We don't need to go any further. We don't need to invest any more time. The red flags are red flags for a reason. Unless you realize your red flag was a bad flag to begin with and it shouldn't have been red. Because sometimes, based on having conversation with people, because we all know beliefs are just things we've repeated to ourselves or had a certain impact in the way we interpret it, it became a belief. Doesn't make it the truth. That's why it's called a belief, because beliefs can change overnight. So what I'm saying, sometimes your belief, what you have as a red flag, may not really be your truth. It's just something you bought into for a moment. And if what a person's able to share with you can make a shift where it's no longer a red flag, see, that's a whole different conversation. But if it's really a red flag, like for me, I'm not into smoking. That's a red flag. I'm not even interested. There's no reason to sit there and say, well, you know, if maybe if a year or two, give her a chance to break through that. No, because it's not my job to change her. That's something that she does. I just need to find out what's going on. What is it that she's looking for? What is her life all about? And then I get to decide on the areas that are negotiable. That's the negotiation part, because I see where you're headed, what you want. The things that we may not be in alignment with, but they can be negotiated. Those are things that we can work through. Because as I say all the time, if it ain't red flags, we can negotiate, compromise, whatever word you like, feel best. We can work through those things and make relationships work. But the whole idea of this particular conversation is to walk into that talk or conversation with a person with a different mindset, not a mindset, what can you do for me? And here's what I'm looking for. But with a mindset that says, what is it that you're looking for? What is it that you want? And then we can decide if the negotiation should take place at all. What a different way to approach life and things, because most of us, unfortunately, it's always about us. And when I say take care of you and love you some you, which I say I love me some me, I said you have to take care of you in that part, but not take it to the level that now you should be the most important thing to everyone else. In other words, you're the center of the universe, and I should be the most important thing to everyone. Welcome to the real world. You're not going to be. But I do have to take care of me. So me loving me has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Okay. So anyway, bottom line, let's figure out what other people want. Then decide if the negotiations are something that should take place, whether we should invest more time into it. And if not, be willing to walk away. Because if not, that's what people do. Even in business transactions, they get into it because they didn't do the negotiation part, and then the relationship fails, the business fails, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So as you guys know, it ain't right, it ain't wrong. It is my opinion. Now run on over to get my app. It's at the Google Play, and then the Apple Store. Download it. It's a free app, and that'll give you access to everything I got going on. And as you guys know, if you're not having fun, you should be doing something else. Walk into this thought process, negotiation, or however we want to phrase this, with a whole different concept. I shouldn't say concept, but a whole different thought process. And that's, let me find out, what is it that's ideal for you? What is it that you're looking for? What's important to you? How do you see this playing out as far as what you're looking for? Because it could just be out here to have fun. And if you're in agreement, move forward. But if not, move on. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.